And are you refreshed?
Yes.
Good. Now what?
Hi. I knew I was going to be called. I drove...
You look a little shocked to us.
Yeah. Listen, okay. Just to tell you before, I drove 2,000 miles to come here. And I manifested free tickets here. So I'm really happy to see you, and I knew when you saw me, you were like... And I felt that in my heart. Okay.
Was it a struggle to get here?
No.
So you were amplifying the power of your desire with those words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when I drove here, it was so beautiful. I could see everything, and I loved every moment of it. Even eating that Taco Bell in my car. I loved it. And the crunchiness of that taco. Ugh, so good. So that's why.
So what's up?
Okay, so I do have a question. Something happened to me as a kid, and it gained momentum and it manifested as a speech problem. Even though I don't have it right now, some days it's like, hi, but then some days it's like this. So,
depending on whether you're under the influence of source or not.
And I found, yes, and here's my question. So, as I self-define myself as having a speech problem, I got into the field of linguistics and speaking languages, and I'm fluent in 6 now because I love studying the way language works because I was affected by my speech problem, and I can speak anything you want and languages. However, every time I do speak my languages like Spanish, I still stutter in them, even though I'm very, 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 very happy to learn them because it brings me excitement. So here's my final question. I have 2 though, but one. Ready? Here's the first one. Why do I enjoy studying languages even though I have this stutter that manifested, and sometimes it's bad and worse, but no matter how much, I still love studying languages and talking to people in those. Why?
Because you are a teacher to the core of your being, and you are a communicator, and you like communicating. But if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would separate your desire for language from the trauma or from the trying to overcome something. What do you think it is that makes it feel like a good idea to get out ahead in a conversation by explaining a speech problem?
I mean, in the past, I've done that, and it makes me feel
Well, you did
horrible.
it today. It was not that far past.
Yes, so it makes me feel terrible.
Well, you didn't feel terrible just now, but what do you think is the reason that you want to explain that?
I have no clue.
You're helping us lead into something that we want to talk about, and that is when you think about energy, and you think about the vortex, and you think about the cooperative components gathering together, that's all out ahead of the manifestation. When you get out ahead of a manifestation in terms of the way you're allowing the energy to flow, then the manifestation flows more easily too. So we've been talking quite a bit recently about getting out ahead of it, getting out ahead of it. Before we were using those words, the words that Esther was finding for the meaning that we were presenting was pre-paving. In other words, get out ahead of it, pre-pave. And we like to tell the story about how your inner being is out ahead of you on everything, paving it so that when you follow along with your action or your inspired thoughts, that then it's a comfortable path that's already been pre-paved. Stay with us just for a little bit about getting out ahead of it. Getting out ahead of it. That's what being under the influence of source does. It really gets you out ahead of things because your inner being knows not only what you want, and not only what you want and where you are in relationship to what you want, but what you want, where you are in relationship to what you want, and what your path of least resistance is to get you there. So your inner being has a full view of everything. Now, the path of least resistance doesn't mean the fastest path or even what you would consider to be the most productive or lucrative path. The path of least resistance means the path that will get you the most that you want with the greatest ease. Say it again. The path of least resistance is the path by which you are less likely to get in your own way. That's what the path of least resistance is. So your inner being knows you're going to be in your own way and doesn't care. Your inner being knows that on some subjects you're more in your way than on others. Your inner being knows that on some subjects you are really in your way, and on some subjects you're not in your way. This is all going to make sense. Stay with us. Imagine that you have a subject that you want to talk about or create around. Maybe it's the subject of money. Maybe it's the subject of relationship. Maybe it's the subject of speaking clearly. So pick up the stick, whatever subject you choose, and on one end of it is what you want, and on the other end of it is the absence of what you want. But it's not just one stick in this pile. There are a lot of sticks in this pile. So let's say you pick up the stick called language, and you're not only good at this language, you're good at 6 languages. So when you focus upon that end of that stick by which you have enormous success, it activates that end of all the other sticks. So for a little while, the money stick, which you might not be doing that well about, is activated in a very positive way. Or the relationship stick that you might not be doing that well on usually is activated in that way. So what we're getting at is you could pick a subject and really get good at that subject and really feel good about that subject, and it positively influences all of the other subjects. Does that make sense to you?
I knew it. Yes. Yes.
Tell us.
About what? Okay, so I have another question.
Tell us what that meant to you.
What that meant to me was, when I focus on that, I get so happy that it seems like everything I don't care about just leaves. And then I just focus on feeling so happy on that. And then what's funny is that things...
So that activates a path of lesser resistance to you on all other subjects.
Yes, and it feels so great because somehow every problem gets solved. And I don't have to do anything.
So are you saying to us, and you are you saying to us that the only problem that you ever have, or anybody else either, is a vibrational problem? And when you get hold of a good feeling end of a good feeling stick, it solves all the other problems, because in that moment, which pile are you in? Under the influence of source energy.
Thank you.